Good morning, everyone. Give me a minute here. Let me just. Just a few minutes. Let me just confirm it here. The live streaming on Facebook is not coming on. Good morning, everyone. This is live streaming via YouTube and Facebook and also via Skype. Tasuwware, sheikh and DNA. I'm a bit nervous because I'm talking to really experts, and DNA is not my field. Yet still certain aspects of it I will take into account to speak on. To speak on at the moment a child takes birth, many stars emerge from around the Earth's horizon, and each movement of the star emits a specific vibration. Also, each star has its own individual movement. All these vibrations together create a musical harmony. Pythagoras has called this harmony of the universe. This cosmic harmony regulates the state of health, illness, and inward journey throughout the life. Just as the this harmony of the universe, the cosmic harmony that exists at the time when a child takes birth, controls and guides. This can be said it is the blueprint. This is the blueprint that controls and guides everything. The fathomless zero occupied the cosmos and your world of finiteness. It is out of this fathomless zero first evolved ether or sky, then came air, followed by fire. The remaining elements, the water, the earth, and thus the life evolved. The soul, the mind, and the physical body. Your physical body is a mere showcase of all that happens at other planes or bodies as well. Physical body is the mere showcase. Then question comes from where the inner healing can really happen? From where can really the inner healing happen? Since physical body is mere showcase, definitely it cannot be the beginning. Regular medicine begins here, but meditation goes deeper. Can you start at the bioplasmic level, or you still have to go a step beyond? There are so many unanswered issues in each one of you that needs to be addressed before healing can really happen. Scientifically, it has been proven that there is DNA. DNA is the molecule that carries the genetic instructions. It is the genetic blueprint, genetic blueprint. Or in spiritual terminology, we can say that it is the karmic blueprint, the lives that you have lived before, all that has been stored in memory, the conscious, the unconscious, and the different layers of it, the ego sense, all these things put together. What is happening here? Just a minute, let me just see what it is happening here. Whatever has been delayed on Facebook streaming, you can get through YouTube streaming. I had spoken at the time the child is taking birth, many stars emerge from around the Earth's atmosphere, Earth's horizon, and each movement of the star emits a specific vibration. Speaking on Tasuwware, sheikh, and DNA. At the moment a child takes birth, many stars emerge from around the Earth's horizon, and each movement of the star emits a specific vibration. Also, each star has its own individual movement. All these vibrations together create a musical harmony. Pythagoras called this harmony of the universe. This cosmic harmony regulates the state of health, illness, and the blueprint for inner growth. How you will grow inwardly. The fathomless zero occupied the cosmos and your world of finiteness. It is out of this fathomless zero first evolved ether or sky. Then came air, followed by fire and the remaining elements water, earth, and thus life evolved the soul, the mind, and the physical body. Your physical body is the mere showcase of all that happens at other planes or bodies. Then question comes from where the inner healing or the process of transformation can really begin. Since physical body is the mere showcase, definitely it cannot be the way. It cannot be the beginning. Regular medicine begins at this level. When the symptoms of a particular illness manifest at the level of the body, that's where the treatment begins. But alternate medicine, which is combined with meditation, studies the cause, not the symptoms, cause of that. The symptoms appear much later. If I have to bring something from composition of Mirza Ghalib, that will give us an idea. Mirza Ghalib says, आते हैं ये मज़ामी ख्याल में गैब से. First of all, light comes. Light interacts with your system. Light is being broadcast. It comes through Wi-Fi or internet to your operating system. Whatsoever is stored there is highlighted, and then something manifests, a symptom, a word. All that the words are emerging out of me, it is the interaction of the light between the light and the organs of perception and action, the memory, the understanding, the awakening. Then a message comes. So we have to look at the cause first, when the light comes in and when it begins to interact. आते हैं ये मज़ामी ख्याल में गैब से. Ghalib, he says that all these thoughts are not mine. When the light falls and it illumines within, thoughts appear. And there is an angel, Ghalib Nabai Sharoz Sharir Khamai. When you take the pen and put it on the paper, there is a sound. That sound is that of an angel that speaks through us. There is a power within that knows beyond our knowings and guides our steps each moment. So this actual healing has to begin at that level. This is what astrology has pointed out to us. You still have to go. You cannot begin the healing process at bioplasmic level. You have to still go a step beyond this. There are so many unresolved questions, unresolved issues in each one of you that need to be addressed before the healing process or the transformation could begin. In this light, science has made a breakthrough. We have to put the meditation and the scientific understanding together and create a kind of one will help the other. In recent times, a breakthrough has been made through DNA. DNA is in fact the blueprint, the genetic instructions, the code, and that determines everything. So instead of taking its medical aspect, because it is said medically, DNA is a molecule that carries genetic instructions that are used in growth, development, functioning, and reproduction of all known living organisms and many viruses. It is a molecule that carries the genetic instructions, it is the genetic blueprint. What we need in a spiritual development, a blueprint, because each species has its own genetic code and blueprint. And that is specific to that person. Somehow or the other, if we can change this genetic code, we can reconfigure the operating system. You go and buy a computer, it has been installed with an operating system. But if you want something advanced, that is the general, every laptop or any other device comes with the operating system. But if you want to open certain files for which there is no arrangement, then you have to add additional apps or install more advanced systems to open those files. Every individual, when it comes into the world, he comes with the genetic blueprint of enlightenment, but he does not have the software, the program to unlock that, to open that. You may have certain files sent to you, and if you do not know the mechanism how to open it, they are of no use to you. The operating systems are different. There are two basics that we use on a day-to-day basis. Android, which uses Windows as the operating system. The other, the Mac, uses another operating system. Two are different, like two different individuals using are installed with different operating system, and there are as many individuals are there, as many operating systems are there. We encountered on a day-to-day basis certain problems when, for instance, I will draw the reference from Windows operating system and the Mac. Windows uses the Word for the documents and Excel sheet for numbers and for that purpose. Mac uses a different operating system and it calls as pages and numbers. If something is saved in numbers using that format, it cannot be opened through Excel unless you install another app to open it. You are not familiar with this. What you do? Either you will express your inability, that you tell the person, convert this, send me the file in Excel sheets only, then I can modify it, can change it, make the corrections, and then convert into PDF, portable distribution file, and then send it to you. But if the person who sent you the file to correct could do himself, he wouldn't need you. But since he does not know, he asks your help. What you will do? You will, there is a device installed, you Google it, and you ask the question from Google how to open the numbers file into Excel. It gives you an immediate answer, a new app, and then you can open the file and it starts working on it. The file that was you were not able to open, something like that happens. DNA is the molecule that carries the genetic instructions that is used in growth, development, functioning, and reproduction of all known living organisms and many viruses. DNA and ribonucleic acid RNA are nucleic acids alongside protein, lipid, and complex carbohydrates. They are one of the major types of macromolecule that are essential for all known forms of life. Most DNA molecules consist of two biopolymer strands coiled around each other to form a double helix. That is the technical aspect of this. What is my point is DNA is the genetic contains the genetic instructions. It is the genetic bioprint. And in spirituality, we need to have the karmic blueprint, the blueprint of enlightenment. It is given to you, installed. All you need to do as you traverse along the path, you find the apps to open it and start working on it. The app that we use in the computer technology is of a different nature, but the apps that we use in the spiritual terminology are totally different. It comes in the company of the master. It may happen that on your own, as you traverse, as you go deeper into meditation, you get insights, and those insights are nothing else but different apps to open that file, which you cannot open otherwise. Tasuwware sheikh is one such methodology. What is tasawwur? Tasawwur is an Urdu word that means remembrance. How can you remember someone? The person is no more alive, but you have the memory is stored in the form of images, or it is stored deep into your bosom. You are trying to remember on the anniversary or any other time. You pull out the album and look at the start scanning through the pages to look at the pictures. You are in fact projected into that company. Sometimes you remember the message, the words spoken. And when you remember those words, and that becomes that changes the configuration within. That a new app is installed, the moment it is installed, the your computer begins to reprogram itself, reconfigure itself. Because computer uses the binomial language of 1 and 0. But in the spiritual field, what is the language that you use? Sound and silence, word and wordlessness. This is the binomial language that the human mind uses in order to go into, to reconfigure your system. Sometimes you are listening to the music, sound is created, and then sound leaves the gap. If sound cannot create the soundlessness in you, then sound is of no use. The words must create the state of wordlessness. A word is spoken, after that, a gap is left. The peak and valleys continue together. Then the process of configuration begins, and that becomes part of you. Sometimes that instruction is conveyed to your subconscious mind. The master does it through his energy field. And when it is conveyed to you through your subconscious mind during the sleep or during the state of meditation, when the surface mind is asleep, there is no conflict, there is no logic. You are in a state of, on the borderline, when you are neither awake nor asleep. This is the state of meditation, when the brain waves are between 4 and 8, that is the delta brain waves. At that time, whatever is communicated to you becomes part of you, then it begins to grow. Just as when a seed is installed into the womb of the earth, it remains there waiting for the right moment. And when the right moment comes in, it begins to first burst, and then the process of its growth begins. So first and the foremost thing is that the seed has to be planted in you. The seed of the new software to open the file that you are not able to open otherwise. And then it gets configured and begins to operate. The words of the Master, you have heard the name of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was going through the marketplace. He heard a verse, half a verse of Bhagavad Gita being chanted. Half a verse only. And the moment he heard that, something triggered within him. A new process began in him. Do you think when you are studying Bhagavad Gita, did Krishna spoke to Bhagavad Gita sutra by sutra, the verse by verse? How did it happen? Have you ever got to think how did the dialogue of Bhagavad Gita began between Arjuna and Krishna? The two armies are arrayed in front of one another, desirous to fight. At that moment, before that, Arjun was very excited to take the revenge. give them the lesson, ready to fight the war. But when he sees the army arrayed, the two sides, he envisions all familiar faces, all relatives gathered together to fight. Logic begins, and he asks his charioteer to place the chariot between the two armies so that he can have a clear perspective of, he can preview all those who have gathered desirous to fight and with whom he has to engage in this war. Krishna says that you should have been asked this before the war was to begin. Now there is no doubt. The, the war has been announced. The sounds have been blown, the conchs have been blown. You cannot run away from that. And there it happened that the person who composed Bhagavad Gita, it came to him as a vision. And there are the complete Bhagavad Gita that is in your hand, that contains 700 verses. If you say that one verse is with proper intonation is chanted, it will take at least 1 minute. So 700 minutes. How much time is that? 700 minutes. That will make how many hours? You can imagine how many hours will that be. And the war was according to the law of the war, that it has to begin with sunrise and by sunset on that particular day it has to end. With sunrise, the war will begin, fighting will begin, and by sunset, it will come to an end. Everyone will go back to their rest. Not like a modern day war that goes on day and night. So, and then on this first day itself, the war began. How much time did Arjuna Krishna took to narrate the sutras of Bhagavad Gita? You go on giving commentaries. What at that time, what is very important is I am speaking to you. As I am speaking, there is a word, there are gestures, the movement. The moment I am talking to you, you have asked a question, and I say, so what? Is it so? But along with is it so, when it is said, there is gesture. That gesture is very important. It communicates many things, even more than what cannot be put into the words. Certain things can be put into the words and certain things cannot be put into the words. The sound, the word and the wordless together combined makes the transformation. The sound and the silence is the complete music. Music is not sound alone. Music must create silence in you, and that's why the music captivates you. The sound and silence together work in harmony with one another. Word and wordless work in harmony with one another. And the wordless you come to know through the gestures, the presence. All of a sudden, the word is spoken. The master looks at you. There is a silence. He's communicating a silence into you. And the moment he's communicating the silence, the system is, something is installed in you. First of all, you have to download, and then you have to install, then it becomes a part of your operating system. Two-way process: download and install. So here, when the master speaks to you, when the word flows, the sound is there. It is the process of downloading. And the moment the gear changes and it comes to the silence or the wordless, now the system is being installed into your operating system. During the beginning, it was Vedavyas, he had a vision. The vision was much larger than the capacity could absorb that. So first day's vision, he saw it. The second day, the same vision happened. He saw something on the horizon, but he was not able to remember it when he came out of the meditation. During the meditation, these visions come. So then he prayed, if this vision is so magnanimous and important, give me the capacity that I can be retained in the memory. Then it is said, Ganesh appeared as the scribe and he said, I am a fast writer, but I have one condition, that the moment you stop, I will go away. You have to continuously speak and I will keep on writing whatsoever you will narrate. So Krishna, to Vedavyas, agrees to that. And then he puts a condition, he said, that's, I agree with you that I will continuously speak, but whatever I am speaking, you must understand it and then write it. Just do not go on writing unconsciously. And then he speaks the word. Two words. Why did he use the two words? Dharma Kshetra, Kurukshetra. One word alone was enough. And unless you understand these two words, Dharma Kshetra and Kurukshetra, you cannot go into the Bhagavad Gita. You may give your own meaning. The meaning of that Krishna gave is totally different than the meaning that the Pandits and these people gave. Shankar could not find something, so he used the plugins. Like in your system, it keeps on saying that new plugins are made available to install. If a certain program you are not able to open, it says to add some plugins. So he adds many plugins. So original Bhagavad Gita did not have more than 400 or so around words or sutras. The remainder came from different, Shankar added many. And when you look at the configuration of these sutras, it clearly shows which one was originally spoken by Krishna and which one is was added on as plug-in by Shankar. After the first chapter, when Arjuna spoke of his despondency, and it is a beautifully put it here, it is a dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna. This is one level. Dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna. Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade. Yoga Shastra. It is also the science of yoga, Yoga Shastra. And if you go at the end of the chapter and you say, Iti Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade, the complete description comes in, which is not the point for me to mention now because it is not a dialogue. It is not a discourse on Bhagavad Gita. Important is the gestures which are very important for you to understand the deeper message so that it can be installed into you. Then the first sutra, after Arjuna has sprattled all his arguments and he fails for the argument at that moment, he asks, why are you not saying anything? Gives a very important message. I am right now listening to you. And when you are listening to someone, what are you doing? You are in fact emptying the person. The master allows you to empty yourself. He keeps on listening to you. Continue. Anything else you have to say? No, not really. Think over it. Oh, yes, one thing I forgot. I must mention it to you. What is that? Okay, mention something else. Anything else remain? Think over it. So it is a process of emptying you. The master empties the disciple. Krishna is emptying the Arjun through his all logics. When he reached to the point there is nothing else for him to say, then he spoke the first sutra. Kutashtua kashmal midam vishame samupasthitam. Oh Arjun, now you listen to the intonation, which you cannot find it in the. When I read this verse for the first time, I was projected into that realm where Krishna spoke. Kutashtua kashmal midam vishme samupasthitam. Arjun, watch the intonation. Arjun, from where did you get this impression? You belong to a warrior clan. All this does not befit thee, is not suitable to your awareness, a person like you. You belong to a warrior clan, and saying such thing does not suit you. Now, just that gesture alone can bring about the transformation in the mind of Arjuna. When you are reading Bhagavad Gita, you are missing this. So, Tasuwware sheikh means the system. The master tells you something and a system is downloaded, installed, and it configures your system, operating system, and you begin on a new journey. Where does this word Tasuwware sheikh emerge from? It is also known as Shagle Rafta. It was the Naqshbandi sheikh, Hazrat Shah Bahauddin Naqshband. He lived in Bukhara, in Uzbekistan. This year, it was the 700th anniversary of Shah Bahauddin, 1389, was celebrated. The government, it was a government project, and he was the 17th Sheikh of the Naqshbandi order. Before that, when the system began, in the beginning it came to be known as Siddiqiya. And this word Siddiq means truthful, emerged because of the second Sheikh of the order, Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq. So the system continued to be known as Siddiqiya. It continued until the another master, then it came to be known as Tafurian, And after Tafurian, it came to be known as Khwazagania. Hazrat Ibn Khalik Isdabani, Raziyallah Ta'ala, who gave the spiritual kalmats or commandments. Nazar var kadam hosh dar dam, khilwat dar anjuman, khayale dar watan. Nazar var kadam, keep your eyes focused on your feet. Nazar var kadam, hosh dar dam, constant awareness, moment to moment. Let there not be a single strand of unawareness. Constant awareness. These were the kalmas that was given. So the Khwazagania name came into, and this name continued until the 17th Sheikh Shah Bahauddin emerged on the spiritual horizon, and then it came to be known as Naqshbandi, and after that there was no change in the initial system that was installed, Naqshbandi. Many other things emerged, Naqshbandi, Hakini, Naqshbandi, Mujaddadi wa Majhariya. This Naqshbandi, Mujaddadi, Majhariya wa Ramchandriya, it emerged with the advent of the Hindu influence into Naqshbandi Tariqat. And that happened to be part of my life. Naqshbandiya, Mujaddadiya, Majhariya wa Ramchandriya. Mahatma Ramchandra, the Sheikh Ramchandra Raziyallah Ta'ala happened to be my great grandfather from the mother's side. And the system began. So what Shah Bahauddin used to do, he was a strange, unique child. He was living in a dormitory. So his master Amir Kalal went in search. The in charge of the dormitory says that there is a boy. He is a strange. He just like to be remain all by himself without being bothered. He does not bother anyone, and he likes to remain silent, and a very strange one. Samir Kalal saw him and he knew, continued to nourish and nurture him. And he was by profession the potter. In the process of the making the pottery, first and the foremost thing is use the raw clay. Using the raw clay, a pot is given a shape, and then in order to make it attractive, many designs are being made. So what Shah Bahauddin used to do, he used to inscribe the designs that he used to inscribe on the pots. They were of inward journey, the inner graph, how the energy moves from one latayaf, the Sufi terminology, to another. Just as when you look at the configuration of DNA, it will tell you when you just go into and start looking into how does it configures itself, how does it operate. This was when I saw it, I became aware of it. It helped me. Now I will be able to explain the inward journey through this example that of DNA. And that's why I choose Tasuwware, sheikh and DNA. DNA makes it understand how does Tasuwware sheikh works. So he used to create the designs, and when his master Amir Kalal saw it, he said, "You are creating the impressions of the hearts of the people. When I am speaking, the choice of the words, the gaps between the words, the high and low pitch, all of a sudden the master musician takes you to a higher pitch and all of a sudden drops it. In that something happens. You know the process of the when you have to preserve the vegetables, whether it is peas or anything else, or you have to the package the milk. It may have bacteria. So what it is done is temperature is taken to a very high, it is heated to a very high temperature. And all of a sudden the temperature is dropped. That is called a steam blast. And with that, it becomes free of all those. So the vegetables are blanched, and then through the air blasting, it is raised to the high temperature and bring it down. In music, something like that happens. A master musician takes you to a very high note, to a higher pitch, and suddenly he drops. And in that, he is configuring something. If you listen to the music of Ganapati Satchidanand, he does it that way. When I listen to his music for the first time, I realize that this is what he is doing. He takes you to a very high note and all of a sudden drops it. And you do not know that something has changed in you, within, and that will surface in due course of time. So what Shah Bahauddin was doing is creating the designs. Different methods are there to change your configuration. Install a new operating system and a new app so that you can open the file which has been installed in you, but you are not able to open. When you buy a laptop or a particular system, you are not able to utilize it to its fullest strength. Only a certain part of it you understand and you open. It does not operate on its 100% level. Some may be able to utilize it 60%, 70%, 50%. Some just know how to type, how to open the Facebook page, type, and all that. Very rarely you will find an expert who understands the Mac or the Excel system completely, Android. Many features we are not aware if you look into that yourself. So he used to create that, and then he said that before that, all the responsibility of the spiritual growth was that of the disciple, salik, seeker. He said, with the passage of time, it is incumbent on the master to take the responsibility for the growth, for the transformation of the seeker on him as well. So he said every disciple will have to do 80% and the master has to do 20%. See, change the ratio. 80% the master will do and 20%, 80% the disciple has to do. Master gives the instructions, he installs, and then, so when you sometimes remember the words of the master, that becomes an app. I recall during one of these discourses, these talks, a person who knew me for a long time, it was more like a social acquaintance, but he had respect. So he happened to be in one of the sessions when I was speaking on a 7 or 8 days funeral ceremony of one of our friends. So I spoke in that. I spoke, look at the wall in front. Look at the wall in front and tell me, is there anything lower or higher? The wall in front of you does not have anything lower or higher. What is lower? And what is higher? Lower is the beginning of the higher. Without the lower, the higher cannot come into existence. And what is the higher? Higher is the end of the lower. You are looking at the wall. The wall it has invisible part, which is the foundation of it. You are not seeing the foundation, which is below the ground. You have a certain part of you which is below the ground. The roots. Roots are deeper. And on top of that, block by block, you keep on raising the height. So the lower block is very important. That becomes the base on which you can set the next block. And then step by step you go until you reach the desired height, beyond which you do not need. And when it reaches to that height, that's where you have to stop the adding the blocks to the wall, and then the roof has to be installed. So lower is the beginning of the higher, and higher is the end of the lower. However, if you have to add, if you have to hang a picture on the wall, you use an eye level from where the picture can be visible to you. You do not hang the picture on the ceiling. I don't think anybody does it. You have to hang the picture at a level where it is visible to the human eye. So for that purpose, the lower part of the wall and the higher part of the wall is important. But as far as the wall is concerned, there is nothing lower, there is nothing higher. Lower is the beginning of the higher, and higher is the end of lower. Now he heard this. It was in 1989. Anytime he meets me, he remembers this. That's it. So what had happened, this particular sentence has become a part, this has been installed into him as the operating system. Everything is configured, moves along that app. And last year sometimes he met me, he and his daughter. And as soon as he sees me, he teaches Bharatnatyam in this country, basics. So each time when he's talking, his head will move. And he does it. So one or two mudras of Bharatnatyam. So he said the same things. His doctor said, Daddy, you keep on saying this. Is it uncle's sentence? He said, yes. He said, that's what I know. He said, anytime you speak to that, he has to say this sentence as a regular part of his. If he has to talk to you, somehow or the other, he will bring that sentence. So this is known as Tasuwware sheikh. Master has told you something. As I said, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard half a line, half a sutra, and that transformed his life of Bhagavad Gita. You may go on hearing the whole discourse, and an inner dialogue continues. So nothing happens because the words are not going deep into you. I have spoken the whole message and you say, yet still this is so. So what happened there? You have not listened to it. Nanak emphasized the whole art of listening. The art of listening is very important. How does one listen? There are many sutras, many pauris. As Nanak calls it, they are dedicated to it. Shankar was walking through the lanes of Varanasi along with his disciples. He hears an old man, haggard. The back and the stomach was merging into one another. No teeth in his mouth. In the absence of teeth, the mouth has become hollow. Andrew Aguchi, the character that William Shakespeare developed in Twelfth Night. The name that he has given, the moment you hear the name Andrew Aguchi, surname was Aguchi. You can immediately figure out what kind of face he will have. Andrew is the name and Aguchik is the surname. Aguchik. If you are sensitive, you can figure out. So he listens to that man. Shankar listens to the man, trying to remember the grammar of Panini. Panini was the grammar man, trying to remember the grammar, trying to remember the grammar of Panini. Seeing him in that state, haggard, ready to go to the grave, no teeth, and he says, and he's chanting the grammar. Immediately the compassion of Shankar rose. That chanting and that figure of that man triggered something within, and compassion overflowed as Bhaj Govindam. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Samprapte Sannihite Kale, Nahi Nahi Rakshati Dukrin Karni. मूड जहे ही धनागम तृष्णम यल्लभ से निज कर्मोपातम भज गोविंदम भज गोविंदम भज गोविंदम मूढ़मते. O fool, what shall you gain by remembering the grammar? Seek eternal. Seek eternal. Seek that is not born and never dies. Seek that within you. Bhaj Govindam Moodmate, Samprapte Sannihite Kale, Nahi Nahi Rakshat Dukhish Karne, Mood Jahehi Dhanagam Trishna Yellabte Nij Karmo Patam, Vittam Tena Vinodaya Chittam. It is the compassion of Shankar that overflowed as Bhaj Govindam. Seek eternal, not seek Govind. So it happens a certain circumstance and situation triggers something in you and whole life begins to change. So when this operating system has been downloaded and installed in you, it configures and begins and takes you on a new voyage, a new journey. And in that, everything begins to change. As I said, most DNA molecules consist of two biopolymer strands coiled together, coiled around two biopolymer strands coiled around each other to form a double helix, coiled around each other to form a double helix. What does it denote? It indicates scientifically towards the Kundalini, where it is coiled. The energy, the two, the Ida and Pingala, the sun nerve and the moon nerve, the two polymers. Biopolymer strands coiled together around each other to form a double helix. The two DNA strands are called polynucleotides. Since they are composed of simpler numer units called nucleotide, each is composed of 4 nitrogen containing, and that's the whole process goes on. I will urge those who are well versed in the medical science, let us work together to use this DNA and Tasuwware sheikh. My understanding is of Tasuwware sheikh a little bit fading understanding that I know there can be established a great research and the work using DNA and Tasuwware sheikh to bring about transformation into the human consciousness, to install a new operating system so that everything is configured differently and a process begins. Only this much for this morning until tomorrow. Take care and do have a pleasant day.